Welcome to Theory of Paranormal. My name is Pax with my co-host Dalton. This is going to be Season 3, podcast episode number 6. And it is going to be featuring Asian paranormal and folklore. So it's going to be a different podcast than what we normally do because we normally focus on European or North or South America. And it's about time we focused on the Asian paranormal aspect. So, with that being said, how are you doing, Mr. Dalton, today?
Doing fantastic, man. Fantastic. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good.
So how do we get it? How do we get this Asian thing? How'd that come about?
Well, I had to go to a function, or which is a fancy word for a gathering of people, for a little soiree or party, and had the pleasure of meeting somebody by the name of L, and had a very insightful conversation about the paranormal and some other things related to that phenomenon. And it was brought up in reference of Asian paranormal.
Did you say L?
Correct, L.
From Stranger Things, man? You met L?
No. Somebody a lot better than L from Stranger Things. Because I actually got to hang out with this L. So way more special.
Well, the L on Stranger Thing has powers though, man. So you can't beat that.
Hey, as far as I'm concerned, everybody has powers, even the L that I met. So
that's right.
But
well, I want to give a shout out to somebody real quick because they're a new listener. To Jason, he works in the body shop at Peterbilt in Stratford, Springfield, Missouri. There, TLG Peterbilt. New listener there. Want to give him a shout out. So thanks for listening, Jason. Hope you enjoy.
There you go, Jason. Welcome to being a new listener. And also, hopefully, Elle will catch wind of us talking about the Asian paranormal, and she will listen also. So welcome, Elle.
Yes, welcome, Elle. And thank you for giving us probably one of the toughest ones we're going to do because we are going to butcher these names.
Nothing like somebody that has a Southern Georgia accent that's going to try to speak Eastern Asian, different countries' languages of pronunciation. This will be interesting with the Southern drawl.
You know, I should learn some Chinese or Japanese or something and speak it in Southern and see what happens.
Well,
I should go get what they call that, them programs you can learn, because I do nothing but drive. I might as well learn a language.
Well, I have a lot of faith in you, Dalton, because if you can pronounce the phrase folklore, then you'll be fine. Because he's supposed to say folklore, but with his drawl.
I am saying folklore.
There you go.
See,
I like how you slowed it down. And you had to think about it, like break it up in your mind there. Good job.
I actually did. I did. That way I wasn't saying folklore.
There you go. So
see, then you think I'm saying fork.
Yep. At least you didn't say spork. Then it could be sporklore. And sporks are pretty cool. Spork. Right. So as far as it goes back, we'll circle back to the topic of Asian folklore and paranormal. We're going to actually touch base on a bunch of different countries because Asia is comprised of multiple countries as far as it goes. I know some people, when they think of Asia, they may think of, certain countries that come to mind, but what we're going to talk about, it's going to be a little bit everywhere. So this is definitely a nice little bit of information that we're going to put out and give everybody something to think and ponder about. Now, what's interesting is you're going to see some of the things that we're going to bring up may be identical to other folklore, paranormal stories you may have heard before. Some of them, no. These are very, very interesting. Like, very interesting. So, I think everybody's in for a treat.
Well, we celebrate Halloween like once a year. It's a spooky thing. But I'm going to say, like, they say that in Asia, the spooky season is like year round. Well, for paranormal investigators, it's year round. So there's nothing new there. But I guess that says in traditional culture and superstitions and belief in the paranormal, they run high across the continent, which even in some movies, I've mentioned it before about them putting the mirrors, the little reflective mirrors in front of the windows and stuff to keep the spirit that's coming after, that like to protect their children. But they got from zombies to vampires, and guess what? Vengeful women. I guess every country has vengeful women.
And men.
And men.
And men.
So where do you want to take us?
I think we're going to start out with Malaysia as far as it goes. So there is something called a Pontianak. And it is a vampire that is a vengeful female spirit said to have died during childbirth. She may appear as a beautiful woman wearing a long white gown with the sweet smell of flowers, but that's how she lures her victim, usually unsuspecting men. In her true form, she smells like a rotting corpse and has red eyes, sharp nails, and fangs, which enable her to slash her victim's stomach and devour their organs. And it's funny because it says that there's a reason people refuse to leave their laundry out overnight to dry. They can find their prey by sniffing their clothes for their scent. So that is very interesting. And that was from Malaysia. So
well, they got some because I'm a huge vampire fan. Like, I have a vampiric side. We already talked about this. So there is a couple of movies that actually showed where the vampire picks up on a scent, and it's usually like a singled out female that the vampire wants, and she can't hide from nothing because it keeps finding her because it just follows her scent. So that there could be some reality to that.
Yep. So the next country is going to be the Philippines. And this particular one is called the manananggal. And basically it's from a word which means to separate. The manananggal is a stuff of nightmares, a flying disembodied torso with trailing intestines, fangs, and a long probing tongue.
What?
So let me repeat that. The stuff of nightmares, a flying disembodied torso with trailing intestines, fangs, and a long probing tongue. And basically...
So it's basically Gene Simmons died, and now he's...
there you go. For anybody that doesn't know Gene Simmons, look up music and type in the word Gene Simmons. You'll see. So, and we mean that as satire. It's not factual.
No, it's not factual, but it's like, okay, so you're walking down the street, and this flying disembodied torso with trailing intestines hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the fangs?
I'm not sure. Up top, maybe. Maybe in the middle. Maybe it depends or varies depending on the situation.
Okay, Philippines, you all got me scratching my head on this one.
Now what it is as far as it goes, the mananangals are like vampires and are vulnerable to light, garlic, and salt, which can be used to prevent the two halves from rejoining. And basically, it's a she, and she's looking for her lower half. And the superstition is garlic, salt, or ash can be used to prevent the body from rejoining the torso. So, that's interesting.
Well, with garlic and salt or ash, what about anything with fire or anything?
No. Yeah, well, as far as it goes, you can set one half on fire. That works. So
does it do anything?
Just burns it up. And they say supposedly, she likes to target pregnant women while they sleep, feeding on the fetuses or blood. She also is known to shapeshift, luring men in before feasting on their organs. You know?
She has trailing intestines.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why she has a hunger for intestines, organs.
Yep. So
I gotta say, out of all the stuff I've done in the paranormal world, that's probably the weirdest one I've ever heard.
So here's one for you. Okay. If that's not weird enough for you or scary enough, in Thailand, there's something called the Krisu. And it's something that appears as a woman by day, but at night detaches her head and organs from her body to feed on flesh at night. A person can be cursed to become a Krisu over sins from a previous life, while some believe it to be a form of witchcraft or the result of black magic. And
detaches her head and what?
Floats around.
You said something about the organs.
Yeah.
So she detaches her head and her organs from her body.
Yeah, detaches her head and organs from her body to feed on the flesh at night.
Lord. Oh yeah.
This one's even better. Okay. In Indonesia, there's something called the genderuwo, and it's ruwo, and is a large, hairy trickster beast who dwells in the forest, who some believe to be vengeful spirit of a man who died an unnatural death of suicide. He's an incubus with a notorious sex drive who is able to shapeshift in order to frighten or confuse his victim, sometimes appearing as a woman partner in order to seduce her. He's also known to be a jealous lover, and many have blamed the genderuwo for infidelity or unexpected pregnancies. That's a whole different level of paranormal right there.
That's a whole nother. I've never laughed at so much stuff in my life with the paranormal. This is probably the one. This is the one where I'm just laughing. So I don't even know where they come up with this.
These are folklores.
Come on, man. We don't have stuff like that over here. We don't talk about
over here.
There's a floating head.
Over here, meaning in the United States.
Right.
For people that listen all over.
Where else do you think people? Well, they know where we're from. We're from the U.S. I mean, do I sound like I'm from anywhere else?
You could,
but
you could be.
Well, I'm from the southern U.S. So, oh, Lord have mercy.
Okay, here's one for you. This is going to take me a second.
Take your time. Use your fingers too.
Kushisaki Onna. And it is the slit-mouth woman, which is from Japan. A vengeful female spirit originating from Japan, as I just said. Appears to be beautiful. Her face is partially covered by a mask reveal. And according to folklore, she will ask her victims if they think she's pretty. And if they answer no, she kills them on the spot. But if they say yes, she reveals her true form, a mouth slit from ear to ear. She then asks, do you think pretty? Depending on the answer, she'll either kill her victim or carve them a smile to match her own.
Now that sounds like the Joker.
Yeah. You're talking about from the Batman movies.
Yeah,
or comic books.
Batman.
Yeah. That's just. So here's another.
I don't know, man.
These are just going in all sorts of directions. Parts of directions where most people can't just fathom this and come up with this randomly. These stories are very particular, you know?
They are very particular, and it makes me wonder, like, how. Okay, so we have Mothman, we have Dogman, we have Bigfoot. No, you got the woman that's taken after the Joker and going to cut a smile just as big as hers, and separating heads and floating intestines, eating flesh.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Okay, keep going.
Finish your thought.
No, you don't want that.
You just had a loss for words. I got it. So this next one's out of Korea. So Xianyi Guizhen is the restless spirit of a woman who died before getting married, said to haunt couples and newlyweds in particular. She has also been blamed for causing illness or accidents. Her male counterpart is the Chonggak Guishin, or bachelor ghost. In early Korean tradition, it was believed that to die virgin was to die unfulfilled, meaning the soul cannot move to the afterlife. This is why families would sometimes unite their unwed deceased through a soul wedding or ghost marriage and the hope that their souls might finally rest in peace. You know, first of all, for anybody that speaks any of these different languages from these native countries and I misconstrued or messed up or butchered any of the pronunciations, I apologize. The second, I just these stories just keep getting more and more different. So it's interesting.
I mean, is this why Elle wanted us to go to Asian Paranormal?
And hey,
Because it's funny.
Elle is a very, very smart lady. I will tell you this from the meeting that I got to have with her in the conversations. So,
well, she's gonna have to pull up some Asian Paranormal of her own and show me some stuff that actually just not make me laugh.
Okay.
I mean, I don't normally laugh at the paranormal because the paranormal is real and it's serious, and I really, honestly, shouldn't be laughing at this stuff. This stuff might be real. I just say I have to see this. Like I have to see the floating head and intestines. I'm not going to stand around and find out what it wants to do, but I just want to see it and go, oh, that is real. Or the flying torso with fangs. That's real. I see it, but when you're listening to it, I mean, I bet our listeners, or most of our listeners, except maybe the ones that live in those areas, they're probably sitting there going, oh, it's very real and it's not funny, but I apologize in advance, but it just sounds.
So
I don't know.
So to give it contrast and perspective for anybody that does live in any of these other countries that we're referencing, or for any listeners around the world, look at it like this. You have your own native folklore or superstition stories or paranormal stories or urban legends or stories that have came through your family or friends or neighbors of things that you know that are just history, that are normal. Okay. And then you hear something that is nothing like anything you've ever heard before. And the only thing that you have is to compare it to what you know from your experiences. So I think that's why Dalton has a case of the giggles, is because the differences in the West of the paranormal compared to everything we've discussed thus far is on a different level. They're not equal as far as things that are being descriptive as these particular folklore paranormal stories are. So that's
No,
why
these are like I said, we talk about we're talking about Bigfoot, skunk apes, aliens. These folks now, like again, I would actually love to have somebody from the Orient in one of those areas,
or Asia, anywhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Asia, actually send us an email and tell us if any of this they've heard before. If there's any kind of legit story behind these stories, like if they've heard these legends and lores before. Like, is this something that naturally? Because I've never visited Asia, but I'd like to know if somebody could just send us a text or something on the website.
Yep. Go to theoryparanormal.com. You can message us. There's a telephone number you can call. You can even send us an email.
I would even if you're not from Asia, let's say you're from another country, but you've been to Asia and heard these folklores. If these are actual lores that are actually being told over there, I'd like to know that. To know that, like somebody physically saw a flying torso with fangs, because I mean that would be actually pretty cool. But I mean, I've never ever in my entire life of doing paranormal ever had a question. Now I do, because it is in another continent. It's another. There are other countries, and everyone, even Russia. Now I got to do like another country, like a whole nother continent, like Russia or England. We've done some England,
Yep.
South America,
yep,
or something, and find out what they got going on over there. This is crazy.
So here's another one for you. In Indonesia, something called Pokong, and basically it's the site of a wrapped ghost. It's especially disturbing for Muslims as it appears as a corpse wrapped in a kain kafan, or kafan, however that's pronounced, which is a shroud used in Islamic funerals and tied on either end. And it is believed a trapped soul will be unable to move on to the afterlife for this reason. The knot should be untied upon burial, lest the restless corpse will reanimate. Now,
okay, that sounds legit.
That's interesting to me because it's from Indonesia, but then it's tying in something
Islamic.
Well, Muslim, for Muslims, and
Islamic.
And I'm not used to hearing things, mix like that as far as affecting a variety of ideologies for religions and so forth. So that's interesting that would happen that way. Now, the next one, this is out of China, and it's going to be the Jiangshi, and basically it's popularly known as a Chinese hopping zombie. The blood-sucking ghoul resembles a corpse with long nails and sharp teeth, and is usually depicted wearing clothes from the Qing dynasty. Its body is stiff due to rigor mortis, meaning the Jiangshi gets around by hopping. But fortunately, there's ways to ward them off. They're allegedly fearful of mirrors or the call of a rooster, and can also be controlled with spells written and affixed to the forehead. And then it says, if you happen to encounter one, make sure to hold your breath so they can't find you. Cool. Hold your breath.
So that's like what movie was that? Where they had what was that, Quiet, or?
I'm not sure.
The one they had the alien looking creatures, and they had to stay silent, like they couldn't make a noise, so they had to walk.
Nope, no idea.
Oh Lord! But it's the same. There was another one too where he could hear you breathing. Anyway, that's what that reminds some of those movies. But blood sucking ghoul, man, that's just basically a vampire with rigor mortis.
Yep. So moving on, out of Sri Lanka, called the Mahasana, is among the most powerful demons of Sri Lanka folklore, and the Mahasana is a fearsome humanoid beast with the head of a bear. Originally a soldier, he was originally decapitated by a fellow soldier in a duel following an affair with another man's wife. The Mahasana is said to haunt cemeteries and attack victims who are ill, striking his victims between the shoulders so hard it leaves a mark. He's also been known to possess humans. The spirit can only be banished through an exorcism ritual performed by a kadadiya.
So that would be like their shaman or their priest.
Potentially.
Striking his victim between the shoulders so hard it leaves a mark. So he's not, so it's kind of like if we're walking through a haunted area and we get scratched or punched or something, or he's just leaving a mark.
Yeah. And to answer your question, a kadadiya is basically a witch doctor. And they pretty much are people that mediate between the human world and the world of spirits or demons, often performing elaborate rituals locally known as thoval to ward off evil spirits, cure illness, or remove black magic. Sweet.
Huh. So that would be something along voodoo lines for us.
Yeah.
So the voodoo witch doctors.
Yeah. Now, the next one that I have is out of India, and it's the Vetala, also known as the Betal. And it's a flesh-eating half-bat, half-man demon, can be found near cemeteries or hanging upside down in a tree. Has the ability to possess corpses and is a subject of ancient Sanskrit texts, allegedly inspired by Bram Stoker's infamous vampire classic.
Bram Stoker's.
But they're not just bloodthirsty beasts. Vitalis are powerful, cunning ghouls who have known or have been known to speak in riddles and see into one's past and future.
Wow, so they're half bat, half man demon that speak as like a sphinx.
Yeah.
It wasn't the sphinx is the one that gives you the riddles?
It could be. Depends on what context you're talking about and what the setting is.
In the Egypt times, the sphinx, I believe anyway. That's a lot right there. Half bat, half man, demon. And that's another one that can be found in cemeteries.
Yep.
So you had the Mahasana. He was said to haunt cemeteries. I wonder what happens if you get both of them at the same time. I guess you're screwed.
I think it's going to be Fight Club.
Fight Club, rule number 1. Anyway, okay. I mean, the last 3 that you mentioned sound pretty legit. I mean, we have dogmen, part supposed to have like, but you look at like, okay, so Anubis was part dog and part man, and he was the gatekeeper to the dead. So, I don't know. I would like to hear from somebody over there to see if any of these have been told before, if they've heard them.
I got some more for you.
Oh yeah, what do you got?
There was a ship in Southeast Asia, the SS Orang Medan, which was a ghost ship found with its entire crew dead, faces frozen in terror, no injuries, and a mysterious glowing cargo potentially from chemical weapons or alien abduction, though some say it's an urban legend. Then in China, there's a bus 375 that was found far off route with decomposing bodies, its gas tank filled with blood, and no logical explanation.
The gas tank was filled with blood?
Yeah. Filled with blood.
Huh. When you go to the vampiric side in Malay, it's a vampiric entity from Malay. Now I'm going to butcher this name, but it's Penanggalan, or Penananggal. Now, it's nocturnal, and the myth says it takes form as a floating, disembodied woman's head. See, here we go. That's the one you were talking about, wasn't it? With the organs and entrails trailing from its neck. No, that was a torso. Or is that the same one?
Sounds like the same one.
That takes her head off and
yep, same one.
Her intestines. That's the same. Okay, well here's more in depth then. Okay. Well, it says here that it's the head and it's got organs and entrails trailing from its neck. So like it basically pulls the head off and all the organs and spine and everything come with it. It was kind of a little different in the other thing that you were saying. But yes. Oh, Malaysia. It is Malaysian folklore. Huh. They say folkloric monsters are numerous in Southeast Asia. Numerous. They say a flying head soars above the rest. I don't know. I'd like to see that one too. That's just, I mean, I dig the fact that they have Asian vampire legends. There's different ones. You named pretty much all of them. But I'm still trying to get over the fact that so the Jiangshi, you talked about the Chinese hopping vampire.
Yep.
That it's a reanimated corpse and it's due to the influence of Hong Kong cinema. Imagine that they did movies after that. It's depicted in modern popular culture as a stiff corpse dressed, you already said, in Qing Dynasty, and then hopping or leaping in folkloric accounts. However, it's more formidable, capable of giving chase by running. See, there's something you didn't know. It can run. And it's sufficient. And if sufficiently ancient, or it has absorbed sufficient yang energy, capable also of flight, according to folklore. It came from the hills, soaring through the air to devour the infants of the people. It in both popular culture represented either as I don't even anthropophagus or whatever, I don't know, Phagous, therefore resembling Eastern European vampires. Wait a minute now. How are you resembling to Eastern? Or is killing living creatures by absorbing their life force. It is usually not represented as blood-sucking, as in the Western conception. During the day, it rests in a coffin or hides in dark places such as caves and forests. There's a historian named J.J.M. de Groot suggests that belief in the Jiangshi was the result of the natural horror at the site of dead bodies, nourished by the presence of unburied corpses in the imperial China, which studied the landscape. I guess during a conflict or a war they had over there. The idea of the vital energy flowing through the universe as capable of animating objects, including exposed corpses, and maze. Let's see, cultural taboos concerning post-mortem, you know what I'm trying to say, a burial. Huh. It's a popular imagination was also partly derived from the habit of corpse driving. A practice involving the deal with corpses of dead laborers across the province, the Zhang province, which would be present day would be Hunan or Hunan. They say the corpses were trussed up against bamboo sticks and carried by professionals known as corpse drivers and transported over thousands of miles to their ancestral villages, which gave the impression of a hopping corpse. These professionals operated during the night to avoid crowds during the day, which served to amplify the fearful effects of the trade. So are they saying this is so because these guys were carrying these bodies on these bamboo sticks, right?
Yep.
And made them look like they were hopping. So what they're saying is these corpse drivers are carrying them through, and let's say somebody sees nothing but the corpse on a stick, or basically the corpse, doesn't see the bamboo stick, but sees it hopping, then starts the lore, I guess, is what they're saying. Because I dug into that a little bit to find out about some of these things. I don't know. It's literature. Let's see. In Hong Kong and the rest of East Asia, they did movies such as Mr. Vampire and its various sequels. Looked like it had three more sequels. Became classics over there. So I don't know. I don't know if it's actually a real thing or just a lore. Like it doesn't seem like somebody has proven this hopping vampire exists.
Yeah.
So this guy G. Zalan or whatever mentioned it in his book in 1789 through 1798 that the causes for a corpse to be reanimated can be classified in either two categories: a recently deceased person returning to life, or a corpse that has been buried for a long time but does not decompose. There's like this big thing, man, that's making it sound like this Jiangshi or whatever. They say they got greenish white skin, possibly deriving from fungus or mold. They have long hair and behave like animals, and that they are ferocious, ravenous beings possessing extreme strength, being described as attacking men with brute force and clumsy violence. They are often represented as being capable of giving chase by running and sometimes flying. What's your thoughts on that statement there?
I think a lot of the Asian folklore and paranormal and urban legends is very varied. If you take everything that I've discussed thus far, all of the stories are very unique and different. There's not a lot that ties them to each other. Now, granted, they're all from the different respected countries, but still, it's interesting.
Well, they say the mirrors. You mentioned the mirrors, and they say why it's the essence of liquid metal. It is dark on the outside but bright inside, and the Jiangshi or whatever, they said to be terrified of their own reflections. So you remember when I told you about those stories, even in some movies where they put the mirrors in front of the windows. Maybe it's the Jiangshi or Jiangshi or whatever. Maybe that's who they're trying to ward off in those instances. A rooster's call, which you mentioned, evil spirits withdraw when they hear a rooster's call, because the rooster's call usually occurs with the rise of the sun. So you're tricking them to think the sun's coming up. That's what that's about. And of course, we know what fire does. Basically, the sound of crackling flames, blood rushes forth, and bones cry. But they mention vinegar. Don't know why. Hooves of a black donkey.
Why does it have to be a black donkey, not a gray donkey or a white donkey? That's very specific. That's very specific.
Right. I don't know. So it says holding one's breath, which makes the Jiangshi unable to find you as they are blind. Though this contradicts the earlier statement that they are afraid of their own reflection. So if they're blind, how do they see their own reflection?
I don't know. That's very
there's
unique.
there's a lot of stuff that they talk about, let's say on this one entity, and then they throw up something that contradicts what they said. Let's see. I don't know. They talk about these feng shui practitioners in Chinese architecture, that what they did, a piece of wood approximately 15 centimeters, 6 inches high, be installed along the width of the door at the bottom to prevent the Jiangshi from entering the household. That right there. So I guess it's just blocking the gap in the door so they can't slide under it.
That is interesting.
Well, too bad it wasn't like the vampires over here. They got to be invited in before they can come in.
Supposedly, that's the urban legend. Supposedly.
2 oral accounts of transporting corpses are included in Louise the Corpse Walker. One account describes how corpses would be transported. Let's see. I lost my page. But this guy talks about, I don't know, there's all kind of stuff going on here with this Jiangshi thing. It's actually pretty interesting. I will say, one would carry the corpse on his back with a large robe covering both of them, and and a mourning, so you're mourning somebody for their past. with a mask on top. The other man would walk ahead with a lantern and warn his companion about obstacles ahead of him. The lantern was used as a visual guide, of course. So the robe covering him was speculated in accounts in the book that corpses would be carried at night to avoid contact with people. But let's say this guy was carrying a corpse and he had a robe over him and a mask, and somebody stumbles across that. What are they going to think? Oh my God, it's a monster, and it's just actually a dude carrying a corpse.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it's all about eye of the beholder, which pretty much means whatever individual views or witnesses something, they're going to react dependent upon their life lessons or their initial reaction. Some people might see one thing or another. I think ultimately, everybody's going to probably be in the same general consensus of going, what the heck is that?
Right. And then it starts to lure. So over in Mumbai, India, you have a place called the Tower of Silence. And that tower is like one of the most supposed to be. It's an ancient Persian religion practiced by the Parsi people, who were once common in the parts of the Middle East and India, though are a vanishing minority in the 21st century. Among the unique aspects of the Zoroastrianism, like I said, I'm going to butcher these words, are its towers of silence. They're large cylinder buildings on the flat tops of which corpses are laid out to be eaten by birds, usually vultures. This 3,000-year-old tradition, known as Dak Himnashini, is both ecologically sound and believed to help souls ascend to their afterlife. Now, I don't know who thought that your corpse being eaten by birds would ascend your soul. In the 90s and early 2000s, a now banned livestock drug killed 95% of the vultures in Mumbai, India. They were feasting on cows' corpses, and the drug, which had basically permanently eat the flesh of cows to which it was administered. So I guess they put it on the cows, was highly poisonous to the raptors. This presented major problems for those people whose corpses were no longer diligently consumed by vultures. What a shame. This is where, when I get into foreign things like this, their cultures, it makes me wonder who came up with this stuff, that you're going to get eaten by a vulture and it's going to put you in the afterlife.
Well, if you think about it, looking at it from this abstract with a wide lens of perspective, a lot of these folklore stories are generational or go back thousands of years. So before technology and the way everything is in modern day of society, a lot of it was symbolism.
That's I guess every culture has its own way of burying or getting their people to descend into the afterlife. It says perhaps the spirits of those deceased people whose culture collapsed have returned to haunt their sacred areas, or maybe the ghosts of these people who cannot ascend because there are no vultures left to eat them are wreaking havoc. That's why they're saying this place is haunted. Now, over in Taiwan, you got an island called Green Island. It's off the southern coast of Taiwan sits Green Island, home to a penal colony for political prisoners during the White Terror, which is a 43-year period of martial law, during which numerous political descendants they basically disappeared. Families were torn apart. Some parents never even met their children. During the White Terror, this Taiwanese people of all ages and classes died by firing squad for alleged anti-government intentions. So they're saying the official policy of the era was it was better to kill one by mistake than to let one go in error. That's pretty sad. It's said that those died during this time still haunt the island where their ghosts can be heard and seen. I wouldn't mind visiting that island, the Green Island. So we'll go to something a little bit more famous, the Forbidden City. I'm sure you've heard of that. China's Forbidden City sits in the heart of Beijing, was the center of government during the Ming Dynasty, 1368 to 1644, and the Qin Dynasty, 1644 to 1912. The massive complex contains almost 1,000 buildings. Its size, history, and importance make it a perfect place for ghosts and other supernatural phenomena. According to the travel site, China highlights over the structure's 600-year-long history. Countless people have been murdered in the walls of the compound, from concubines. Imagine I could pronounce that word, right? Concubines. Okay. To guards, to members of the imperial court. China's news service, from a guard working overnight at the Forbidden City whose companions caught a woman roaming the palace after hours. The soldiers yelled at the woman. This is a quote from them. Said that they yelled at the woman, but when she ran away, they realized that she was not an employee at the Forbidden City, maybe a thief. They started to chase the woman, who managed to keep a distance of about 30 meters from them. When the two men finally cornered the woman at a locked door, they ordered her to turn around. As she turned to face them, they were shocked and dropped their flashlights. The woman had no face, only hair. That's an interesting story.
That is very interesting. That's also very particular.
It is. The faceless woman with hair.
Mm-hmm. A lot of these stories are very short and sweet. Not a lot of major details, just enough to kind of prop them up. But they're distinct, you know?
They're very precise in their words, is what I'm. So in Hong Kong, you have the Tat-Tak, T-A-K, T-A-T-T-A-K, Tat-Tak school.
Mm-hmm.
This abandoned school, said to be one of the most haunted places in Hong Kong, was the site of a teacher's suicide. Of course, hung herself. There's a lot of hangings in a lot of these stories, even over here. In the woman's bathroom, wearing a red dress, her ghost haunts the school, having been seen in a graveyard nearby and on the school grounds. A cemetery sits next to the school, which was reportedly built after the British massacre all the locals, excuse me, during a failed eviction. The spirits of those slaughtered add to the creepy energy and spectral cast over the school. So not only do you have the woman that hung herself, but you also have the cemetery next to it where the British basically massacred a lot of people trying to evict them out of that area. That's a lot of hauntings. But I don't know, man. I mean, they are pretty short and sweet on these stories, and they're pretty precise, like pretty descriptive is the word I'm trying to say. They're pretty descriptive on what they want to say and how they put it out there. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'll do one more. Let's see. Okinawa, Japan. You got the Chibichiri or Chibachiri Cave. Now this, the reason this one interests me, and so does other ones that interest me, is because it deals with World War II. So in Okinawa, a Japanese island in the East China Sea, was the site of a conflict in World War II, during which at least 100,000 people lost their lives. Some accounts put the number as high as 200,000. When Americans invaded the island, civilians hid in the caves, including the Chibichiri cave. Terrified So basically, like all the women and children and older folks, they would go into the cave and they would hide as the Americans were attacking. And over years of propaganda, basically teaching these folks that the American soldiers would basically torture them and stuff if they caught them, you know what I'm saying? Or just killed them. So they taught all the Japanese civilians this deal. Now, when the Americans arrived at the mouth of the cave, they threw in pamphlets written in Japanese detailing ways in which the Americans would treat them, how they would help them. They weren't there to torture or kill them or anything like that. But the thing that happened was that no one believed them. So an 18-year-old girl shouted to her mom to kill her. Don't let the Americans take me. And her mother obliged, which set off a wave of parents killing children or people killing themselves. In the end, 83 people died in that cave due to self-infliction. So the bones of the children can still be found in the cave. For a while, the site was open to the public, though now only the basically through the entrance is accessible. I guess there was another entrance way, so there's only one way to get in now. And locals have protested tourists basically about gawking at the bones of their relatives. And in other caves on the island, Japanese soldiers killed themselves, which we know that they did. There's a name for that where they put the knife when they basically were ashamed for the defeat. They would stick the knife in their side, rotate it, and as they fell over, there was another Japanese soldier to behead them with a samurai sword, basically a samurai's death. So they protested about these people gawking, and these other soldiers killed themselves. Again, it's a preferable alternative to being captured, is what they're saying. So being captured is one part, but the main part that I used to read about why they did that was because of the defeat. That was their price they had to pay for being defeated. The Chiba cherry was included actually on CNN's 10 scariest places in Asia, and Okinawa is considered one of the most haunted islands in the world. If you didn't know that. And that's why I brought up Okinawa.
Okinawa.
Supposed to be one of the most haunted islands in the world. So there's other places that we can go over, but I didn't really see anything else that caught my eye that basically would be worth talking about. I'm kind of looking at something here. So what's your thought on all that anyway? Again, what I know you said, like, the cultures. Would you believe, like, if you went over there, I think that if I ever visit now if I visit like China or something, now I want to go look for the floating torso or the floating head. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those things where, and again, I want to tell people, like, I'm not laughing at the culture. I'm not laughing at the story. It's just in general, it's like the way that they're putting this out there. It just makes me giggle because I'm like, wait, come on, man. Like we have a bunch of stories over here, but nothing like a floating head and organs. What about just a floating head?
It is what it is. Every story is unique and different. They're all grounded in folklore and mythology and superstition and paranormal, urban legend, family stories. I don't
know.
I honestly, when you look at it like this, all of those stories, even if they may sound different or strange to us, I think they're all grounded in the same of uncertainty and everybody wanting to try to understand
Right. Well, I mean, the I mean, I guess, like, if you lived over there and, like, we live over here and you got, your grandpa telling you about, a dog man or a moth man. Maybe that's kinda makes people from Asia giggle. Like, come on, man. Like, but I don't even wanna sit here and try to compare stories from here to there, because, like you said, everyone has their own folklores, their own legends and stuff that they have come up with. Now there's some things that we talk about over here just to keep the kids out of the woods sometimes, when they're young. Don't go in the woods because there's a, half man, half bear that likes kids, will eat kids. And, of course you got kids today that'd be like, yeah, whatever. And they'll go in the woods and then, oh my God, there's a half bear, half man trying to chase me down. But all right. So So I don't know, man. Those stories are they're out there, but I'm gonna go take this to Alaska. How's that?
Go for it.
All right. So Alaska is paradise for both nature and winter sport lovers. While there are a lot of places to experience and awe, inspiring heavenly natural sights, Alaska also has a lot of places where you can go to have some thrilling experiences. Among a lot of unique things that you can find in Alaska. One thing that struck us are old buildings and villas, which are beset by unusual paranormal activities. So I do want to say thank you, Elle, for the Asian topic. I didn't kind of know where we were going to go with that topic. Hopefully, we threw some light on some Asian stuff going on over there. But hopefully, I don't know, because a lot of them stories are out there. But anyway, hopefully everything we threw we threw a shot at it as best we could. Hopefully you're satisfied with that, and we appreciate you giving us that topic. So the Silver Bow Inn, and it's a bed and breakfast. The Silver Bow Inn. I guess that's in Alaska. This place is best known for the bakery that was founded there by Gus Messerschmidt in 1898. This is also the oldest bakery in Alaska. The owner of the shop died in 1938. The Silver Bow Inn, the Silver Bow Inn Bed and Breakfast is famous for its fine bakery items and attracts a lot of customers. People claim to see the dead owner when they come early in the morning. Huh. It's always the bed and breakfast that's haunted. They got a hotel Captain Hook. What? Let me read that again. Yeah, Captain Cook. Sorry. I was like, man, Captain Hook. What are you, Peter Pan? All right. It's a very well-known place in Alaska where people claim to experience paranormal activities. The staff, the management, they've also experienced opening and closing of doors and switching on and off lights. According to the locals, the lady is bound to this place. I guess there's a lady bound to it and can't escape it. Thus, some unusual presence can be felt there. So it looks like there's a trapped spirit in that one. But it looks like to me, Alaska has a lot of hotels that are haunted and lodges. So you have the Tunsina River Lodge.
River Lodge.
River Lodge. Locals say that they have seen unknown incidents happening in the River Lodge that can't be explained. People say they have seen some weird, unknown things, excuse me, and cannot describe what they saw. Also, they have heard some unknown voices which weren't usual. Well, an unknown voice is not usual. But if you're ever over in Alaska, looks like most of the hotels and stuff are haunted. Pretty much all, even the one in Anchorage. Hilton Anchorage. This is a Hilton Anchorage hotel. It's a very famous place in USA. The guests claim to have seen many unusual figures, not knowing whether they are human or ghosts. They claim to have heard weird noises of unknown things. The second floor is considered to be more unusual than the rest. That's the second floor. Opening and closing of doors and chatting. I thought maybe I'd come here because I thought I'd seen something that I kind of wanted to talk about, but I don't see it. Huh. I don't know. It's basically everything what else is up in Alaska? But basically, it's all hotels and stuff looks like to be haunted.
So, check this out. In Fairbanks Memorial Hospital, staff reports cold spots, moving equipment, and spirits, especially in the nursery wing near death.
Near death?
Near death. Or, for any of the military aficionados, Fort Richardson near Anchorage, stories of ghostly soldiers patrolling abandoned buildings and unexplained phenomena on the military base.
So now you're talking a military base.
Yeah.
Could that be paranormal or alien?
I don't know. No idea. There's a place called the Alaska Triangle, centered around Anchorage, Juneau, and this is going to take a second. Utigvik Barrow. It's famous for unexplained disappearances of people and aircraft, UFO sightings, and theory of energy vortexes.
See, it's funny you mentioned vortex because a Japanese airliner en route to Anchorage encountered 3 UFOs in 1986.
Yeah.
Described as motherships and scout vessels, which evaded the airliner for nearly an hour.
Can't.
And, because that's why you mentioned that military base. That's why I kind of said, are we talking ghosts? So there's over 20,000 reported disappearances attributed to demons, malevolent spirits, or the Kilut, black hairless dogs. That's in the Alaskan Triangle. 20,000 reported disappearances.
That's just a few.
Just a few. So Robert Hansen, a serial rapist and murderer in Anchorage, who abducted, raped, and murdered at least 17 women between 1971 and 1983. His case inspired the movie The Frozen Ground.
Jeez. I took a dark twist real fast. Way to let us know beforehand.
Well, I've seen the movie I've seen the title of Frozen Ground. Never watched it though.
So what's interesting, that they actually have their versions of Yetis or little people, and they're basically made to inhabit remote areas alongside tales of giants. But then there's also Bigfoot hairy men, sightings in the legends of large hairy humanoids in vast wilderness similar to Sasquatch. And then there's the Kushtaka, which is Tilgit legend of a shape-shifting creature, often otter-like, that lures people to their doom, described in places like the Alaska Triangle.
So would that be Kushtaka? That was almost shape-shifting. So that almost sounds like a skinwalker.
Yeah, potentially.
But it turns into an otter form instead of a wolf form. But the Bigfoot, like you're talking about, the Sasquatch, that's a Pontianak. There's a Bigfoot creature blamed for fear during the 1940s in the abandoned village of Portlock. Says these stories and creatures reflect the awe and fear that Alaska's landscape inspires, blending reality and legend to create a folklore tradition as deep as its wilderness. You have the Ili, a giant creature said to live in Lake Liama, and there's been sightings and reports of people who have encountered it. So that would be our version of what the Loch Ness Monster, which Alaska's U.S., but you know what I'm saying. That would be kind of the version of the Loch Ness Monster, maybe.
Could be, potentially.
A giant creature said to live in Lake Liama. Huh. Then you have the Adlit, which is a warlike race of beings, and basically a mythology, often depicted with the lower half of a dog and the upper half of a human. What's the ones that are half horse and half men? I forgot.
Centaurs.
Centaurs. Yes, thank you.
I am a Dungeons and Dragons geek. Yes. Once upon a time. Once upon a time.
Well, centaurs are cool, man.
I was a level 14 paladin. No. Yeah.
Level 14. They say there aren't many Alaskan urban legends, but that doesn't mean that the state is basically devoid of local legends and tall tales. It says that it's basically home to dozens of monsters and ghosts. Huh.
Interesting.
I see it talks a lot about the serial killer too.
So
let's see. He said it hunted most women in Alaska's bush country. They called him the Butcher Baker. And he was in Anchorage who abducted and murdered at least 17, but up to 30 women in between 71 and 1983. There's a lot of dark stuff going on right there.
Yes.
They said he escaped. He would take them and fly them in his private plane to remote areas, release them, and then hunt them like animals, killing them with a Ruger Mini 14 ranch rifle and other weapons. Huh. Oh, Hansen was only discovered because one of the victims managed to escape in 1983, which led to a police investigation and eventually convicted. Huh. There was another movie like that where they used to take people, they would trap homeless people or whatever, and then they would take them out and use them as, basically live hunting. And then you have again the three UFOs who chased the Japanese plane for 400 miles above the Alaskan wilderness. And yes, right through the middle of Alaska Triangle. They said one was described twice the size of an aircraft carrier. Appeared to be like a mothership.
That is pretty humongous. Seeing how aircraft carriers, especially the United States aircraft carriers, are like literally the biggest ship in the whole world.
Pretty much. So you've heard of saber-toothed tigers. Alaska has a saber wolf. And they say it might be stalking the Alaskan woods. So legends describe a wolf-like evil spirit of the Hani Valley that kills people by biting their heads off. Though the so-called Headless Valley lies in Canada, its resident monster has been sighted in Alaska, at least once by an American mechanic who described it as a wolf on steroids. And the crew of the American TV show Alaska Monsters claims to have narrowly escaped an encounter with the beast. Cryptozoologists speculate the saber wolf might be a remnant population of dire wolves. Or even what they call bear dogs. Descriptions of the creature make it sound more like a bear dog than a wolf. But who can tell with evil spirits, really? A saber wolf. I don't know, man. The abandoned copper mine is the most haunted place in Alaska. I think any mine, copper, silver, they're all going to be pretty haunted. But just after the turn of the 20th century, the Kennecott copper mine outside of McCarthy, Alaska, was an enormous profitable venture producing thousands of jobs and a 30-year economic boom for the little Alaskan town. Let's see, abandoned. The railroad was eventually abandoned due to the constantly changing its position across nearby glaciers and the mining camp. But it's a very haunted ghost town, so haunted, in fact, that the spectral phenomena in this area, which included tombstones appearing and then vanishing along the hiking trails, sounds of crying children and poltergeist activity, was enough to drive away state government workers who were trying to redevelop the area into government housing projects during the 1990s. The ghost tactics included the effects mentioned above, along with stealing workers' tools right out of their belts and toolboxes. That would be something to go to and carry some tools and actually see if one of your tools wind up missing.
True.
But I don't know, man. I think tonight's episode was all over the place with some Japanese and Chinese and Malaysia. Man, I don't know. A lot of as you can tell, folks, we're kind of thought processing all this stuff we just went over. Basically, it's a lot to take in when you talk about floating torsos and heads and intestines, organs. But anyway, you got anything you want to add?
Nope. I'm just gonna leave it right there where you left it. That's a lot to take in between the Asian paranormal and folklore, and then the Alaskan paranormal and folklore there. As far as it goes,
well, the Alaskan paranormal, you got the sea monster, the saber wolf. Now the saber wolf kind of attracts me there. The saber wolf, but you do have the copper mine that's haunted, and then people doing that. But and of course, in Alaska, you also have, it's a very big hotbed for Bigfoot sightings, of course. But the Alaskan Triangle, they said, is kind of like the Bermuda Triangle. I mentioned that. Now, the Alaskan Triangle, I'll be honest with you, I've never heard of the Alaskan Triangle. Have you?
Yes, I have actually.
Have you? I've never heard of it. But anyway, as we sit here thinking about these, I'm going to be thinking a lot about these Chinese folklores and these Malaysian, because I seen vampiric and I was like, all right, cool, vampires. Not that some woman removes her head and all her intestines are trailing and they go to eat flesh. I don't know. Ending thoughts?
I think I'm going to have to sleep on this and circle back around. As far as it goes, though, I mean, like I was saying, it's definitely very interesting to see all the different perspectives and how things are. Obviously, within the Asian continent and cultures, there's very unique and varied stories and urban legends and tales. And it shows how each country had something different. How none of them really were really similar to one another, and they were unique. So it's definitely something to ponder, think about, and do a comparative thought of, wow, what have I known about the paranormal with the United States, with Europe, with South America, and then compare apples to oranges and say, what stories are similar, what are different. But ultimately, the grounding factor in all of this is that these are stories that people live by and know daily and think about and are superstitious about and grew up with. So, for anybody that's listening that was in any of those respected countries or live in other places now or grew up with those stories, we appreciate them. It's definitely, at least for me, and I'm sure for Dalton also, we always love to learn new history about different cultures and different things that incorporate into someone's life to say, hey, this is how it is. And as far as the Alaska portion goes, definitely another slice, a different flavor, but it's just another place that may not be as commonly known or known about to everybody, just because Alaska's so far in expanse and austere that a lot of people don't get to travel up there or experience it. So for anybody listening from Alaska, we appreciate it.
Yeah, well, and when we went to Asia, man, we could have went simply to the most obvious thing for us, because we don't live there. We're not from there. And the most obvious thing for us would be the World War II or any kind of World War stuff. We could have just went there, but we decided to go try to take it to the folklore, idealistic things that they talk about within these towns or within these, because a lot of those are small towns. A lot of them are small. Okinawa is not a small place, but a lot of them are small towns. A lot of them aren't, and it is kind of cool to listen to other perspectives of the paranormal. I'm like I said, I wasn't giggling or laughing at it. I was kind of laughing with it, if you know what I'm saying. It's kind of hard for me to explain, but it's kind of like, okay, it kind of sounded a little far fetched to where I'm going to giggle about it, but who knows? Because I don't live there. So I always tell people, like, you can't say what you want to say to me because you weren't there. I can't say what I want to say about that because I wasn't there to experience that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to clear that up before we go anywhere. That that a lot of that stuff might be some stuff that they seen. Maybe you want to get to the paranormal side. Maybe the entity, like it was a full colored apparition, and it just didn't manifest all the way. So maybe just the torso came about. But it sounded like some of them, like they were looking for. The lady was looking for the other half of her body to put the body back together, and the salt and ash and stuff would keep those two parts from getting back together.
Right. Because those acted as a barrier, per se, elemental barriers and so forth between the physical and the spiritual. So,
well, very interesting, though. I mean, it's, even though I giggled and laughed a little bit, it's very interesting. Okay, so as much as I don't want to come across a flying torso with fangs, I would just like to see it, just so I can say, wow.
I think for all the listeners out there that we would all experience if we were all there watching Dalton see this happen. Dalton would go from a southern drawl accent to a very high-pitched squeal as he runs. But that's just me. But
no, I don't do high-pitched squeals, but
okay, so that means he does a low-pitched squeal. There we go.
It might be a low, let's go.
Let's go.
I would probably be that, but we don't, I can't listen. I'll be honest with you. I always talk about I run towards the fire and blah blah blah, and legitimate reality. It's dangerous because I can't see what I'm dealing with. Like I hear something or I do whatever, something moves. I don't run from it. I go to it. But I guarantee you, like if I was in an abandoned building and we're doing a paranormal investigation and I hear a growl and I think, oh my gosh, that's a disembodied voice of a growl. And I get around the corner and it's not. I see something standing on two legs with a big wolf looking head, glowing eyes, and is growling. I, I, I don't think I would run towards that. I think I would turn around and be like, I'm out. Like, let's see how fast I can run because this thing's probably going to chase me now. But
and you got short legs, that'll be hard for you to do.
Right. So, but anyway, when it comes to like dealing with spirits and stuff, yes, I'm going to go towards that noise, that open door, that door that opened by itself, the cabinet that opened by itself. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to check it out. But I think over there, you're right, though. I think if I came around the corner and there's a flying torso with fangs, I'm just going to be like, let's go. Time to go. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm so used to grounded. And again, I'm not knocking this stuff because I'm not there. I don't know if this is real or not. But I'm going to say I'm I'm more of a grounded person. Like Bigfoot, obviously, is real. Skunk apes, we have those in South Florida in the Everglades. They're real. There's photos of them. Aliens, spirits. But a woman, taking her head off her shoulders and there's intestines underneath her neck and stuff, and it's floating around and killing people. I don't know, man. I'll be honest. I'm gonna be honest because I'm always honest to my listeners. I don't know if I can believe that stuff or not. I don't know what to believe. It's so far out in left field that I don't even know how to. You can tell I'm stunned. Like I don't even know how to take this in. I don't know how to input it into my brain to make me think there's something like that going on. Okay, vampires. Okay, vampiric stuff. Okay, but I just read to you like the bodies being carried on bamboo sticks, and it makes it look like they're hopping because the people are walking with the stick, and as they're walking, it's bouncing up and down. So if somebody sees it, it's a hopping zombie. It's a hopping, bloodthirsty zombie. Okay, but I just told you how it happened. That some guy was carrying these bodies on sticks. But what about the guy that carries a body on his shoulders with a robe over him and a mask on? Why do you need all that? Just carry the body. Then somebody can go, oh, that's clearly a dude carrying a corpse. Don't dress it up, is all I'm saying. Don't dress it up because now you got some kind of folklore that's out there. And then people are like, oh, should we believe that or not? Well, no, because when you read about it, it's like, oh, the guy was carrying a body on. I mean, come on. You see where I'm going with this? It's like, I don't know, dude.
So, so to rope all that back in, it's a lot to take in, and it's different perspective.
I mean, we've seen like the floating head thing, and that's just basically a spirit that wasn't able to manifest the whole body. It was just able to manifest the head. Or you see the arm of a spirit.
Yep.
Okay, you're walking down the hall, and all of a sudden the right arm appears, and you can tell it's the right arm because it's walking away and it's on your right side. That would be the right arm. So it's walking down the hallway. All of a sudden it pops up. Well, it's because the entity couldn't manifest the rest of the body. It might not wanted to do the right arm, but mistakenly the right arm appeared. Okay. Or you see one leg. You get where I'm going with this? That's just the spirit that either accidentally manifested a part of its body or didn't have the energy or the source to manifest the whole thing.
That almost sounds like a Christmas story. The spirit that could,
maybe, but I don't know. Some people, the people that are going to listen to this, I hope you listen to the whole thing. I hope you listen to the whole thing and basically keep an open mind, as I always say, keep an open mind. But some of this stuff, I'll be honest with you, man, I can't even say it. And no offense against all the Asian folks that listen to us and stuff. I really want to know. I want somebody to text us on the website if these folklores are being told this exact way over there. I want to know, because if not, then I probably got to get my passport and fly to Asia and find out for myself if this kind of stuff is being told over there.
We'll find out. We'll keep everybody posted if we get any communications from anybody around the globe and the world to let us know. So, as far as that goes, we appreciate everybody listening to Theory of Paranormal's Season 3, podcast number 6 on Asian folklore and superstitions and the paranormal, with a breakout session on Alaska paranormal.
A little bit of Alaska, yeah.
A little bit of Alaska.
And forgive me, folks, for sniffling and stuff. I just come out of negative 16-degree weather in one of the states I was in, and it kind of caught my nose. So I apologize for the sniffling.
As far as it goes, if anybody has any questions, thoughts, concerns, wants to send us at Theory of Paranormal any video, audio, or photos or questions, feel free to go to theoryparanormal.com and you can send us messages. You can send us an email. The email address is listed, which is info@theoryparanormal.com. Or you can send us real-time messages, and if we're available, we can actually respond to you in real time. And there's also a toll-free number you can call if you wanted to call and leave a voicemail and even potentially have a conversation with me or Dalton, depending on who's available and what's going on. Some individuals we have noticed don't really like doing the whole tech thing with the emails and the messages and all that. So we go old school and we welcome a good old-fashioned conversation. Also, for individuals that have been reaching out to us that have been asking for any type of paranormal assistance or help or advice, we are more than happy to impart wisdom and also give a professional opinion depending on what's going on and what the scenario is. So,
well, and also don't forget the Facebook Theory Paranormal on Facebook. I know I said Facebook twice because I want. And make sure you give us a like. I see a lot of people that listen to our podcasts. A lot of people are viewing the page. Make sure you give us a like there because eventually, we've been saying it, but we're going to do our best next year to, be able to get out and do some investigations. But, our jobs and life and everything got in the way this year again. I was hoping we could do at least one or two investigations this year and be able to share those with you. But next year, I'm definitely going to make the time where we can do at least maybe 3 solid investigations for the year and be able to share those with you and talk about them.
Yep.
So, but don't forget the Facebook page, the website. You can text us on either one, the phone number you can call, leave a message, all that good stuff.
Yep, without a doubt. And we usually respond pretty quick, depending on what's going on, but we get back to everybody. We respond to all the emails that we receive from everybody also around the globe and the world. We appreciate it. And for anybody, if this is your first time listening to Theory of Paranormal, or if you're just now returned and you're unaware, we have a website at theoryparanormal.com. That's going to list a little bit about us. Yes, it does show mine and Dalton's photo for anybody that's curious what we look like. We've had a lot of people ask questions about that. And also at the bottom of the webpage, it will show all the different platforms that we are hosted on for our podcast. I think we're up to 12 different platforms now for podcast entities. So it's a little bit of everything. So I'm sure your favorite podcast platform you listen to or use will already be listed. And if you are on something in particular and you like it a lot and it works for you and you potentially want us to be on it, let us know and we can look into it and see exactly how that may go for you. So anyways, that is all we have for this episode. You got something else, Dalton?
Yeah, just thanks again, Al, for giving us a really complicated. I think next time we should go to South America or something. Let's pick another.
There you go.
And see what's interesting.
Actually, I'm thinking maybe Canada.
We did some in Canada before, haven't we?
Nope, have not.
No. Well, let's go to Canada then.
Yeah.
And see what's going on paranormal-wise in Canada. I do want to do like South America or something like that, maybe Argentina or something. I don't know.
Yep.
Mexico would be a good one, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, there's lots of stuff in Mexico too, south of the border. So once again, we appreciate your inquiry, Elle. We hope you enjoyed the podcast, and thank you personally from me, Pax, to you for breaking Dalton's brain. That was priceless.
I mean, I'm hard to break, man, but that one definitely rattled my cage a little bit. I just was like, what do we got going on here?
Yep. So as we say, Theory of Paranormal, don't be afraid to ask questions.